Hello, Serge here from the Backyard Driving Range. That one would have hit the target, except the fact the wind blew the target right as I hit it. But anyways, we got a good question here, and it's coming from Skipper Bill. Okay, Skip, guess you're out there spending a lot of time on the water. So he goes, Dear Mr. Trahan, many years ago I read a book by Ben Hogan. I was trying to learn the secrets of the then golf swing. One of the items in the swing was doubling the head speed. If I recall, this meant breaking the wrists. The idea was to have your wrist straighten as the club head approached the ball. I know you have said in the past not to break the wrists, but in your swing, how does the club head double in speed? Skipper Bill was followed with a comment by Steve Smith. And Steve said, I doubt if Hogan would have had access to equipment that could measure whether something was doubling in speed if taken literally. It was probably what he felt. Good point. It may have doubled that release, or may have been something more or less than doubling. What he did know is that the proper release of the club, maximizing the use of the lag, creating the swing, made a tremendous difference. We don't cock our wrists intentionally and keep the back of the left wrist flat, but it doesn't mean that there's not lag. It would be impossible to swing a club properly with any speed at all without creating this lag. Learning to release this lag at exactly the right instant is the key to maximum club speed at impact. Correct. So let's talk about this. We know that if you stand here and just look down, your arms are hanging straight down, your left wrist is relatively flat. If somebody walked up to me right now and I went to shake their hand, I'm going to just stick my arm straight out and it's relatively flat. I'm not going to cut my wrist or cock my wrist or arch my wrist to shake hands. It goes straight out. Just like when you put your hands together to pray, both wrists come to a point and they're both relatively flat. Now they're not dead flat because without a doubt the wrist is thinner than the back of the hand or the outside of the forearm. So if you lay a club on it, I'll do this hand because I have the watch on the other hand, there's always a little bit of a gap in there, but it's relatively flat. And that's what we want to maintain. Now most people have always said, most instructors and people have tried to get at the top of the wrist, at the top of the backswing, go to parallel and say, cock or set your wrist at the top. And over the years we've had all kinds of people say, well, I can't seem to keep my hand from breaking open, so they say squeeze tighter and tighter. So you squeeze tighter and tighter, and when you try to set and cock your wrist to get the club to parallel, they still break open. In fact, they might stop breaking open sooner, because the more you tighten your wrist, the less range of motion they have. The key is, in a wrist, there's very little, shall we say, vertical up and down motion. It's mostly all horizontal or lateral, all right? And so once you set your wrist in its natural position, and if you go one way, it's going to cup, and if you go the other way, it's going to arch, all right? And so if you start with a flat wrist, is what everybody says, the only way you can maintain a flat wrist is to make sure you don't try to cock it, hinge it, set it, or whatever at the top. You try to maintain it and make sure it stays the same. So what that gives us when we come down to impact is that when we're up here and we're coming down, the lag is the fact that the hands get to the ball before impact. And again, we want the hands to reach the ball before impact, but because in our golf swing, as we have the lateral shift and the spine angle is tilting backwards a little bit, there's just enough back that when the club gets here and the hands get to the ball and the club speeds up so fast, what it's doing is there's no wrist break or wrist cock here. It's rotating from the shaft. See right now, look at the back of my left hand, or if we want to look at my right hand here, it's matching the face. So the palm of my right hand and the back of my left hand is matching the face. And so the lag is that the hand reaches here, and then what happens? They just rotate the square. And because I've done the bump and I got this, and I'm coming back here, and I've started from behind the ball, and I'm behind the ball, the hands both hands end up dead square, just like when you had it in a prayer position. All right? And that's what we're after. And so the key is just boom. And then from there you go into the catcher's mitt, toe up in a forward swing as they swing up and stand up. But the key is that we could rotate a heck of a lot more. I could come back here and I could rotate the club all the way to where my palm is up, where the back of my left hand, my forward hand is up and the palm is up. of my bottom hand, the right hand, and I could come back down. And now look, to get here, I'd have a lot more rotation, which will very likely rotate me over, because for every action is an equal and opposite reaction. So we have to control the rotations, and that's why we come back where we go into the hand, into the catcher's mitt, toe up and straight up. We're coming back down. There's the lag, right? And then at the last second, as the hands get there, what happens? The arms rotate. It's a rotation from the tip of the fingers to the connection of the arm in a ball and socket joint in the shoulder. And all of that just rotates in, and then I can control the rotation by making sure when I go into the forward mitt, I'm only going to go into the forward mitt toe up. But now look at here. At the top of the backswing, when I get up to the top and my left wrist is flat, there's a little bit of cupping in the right wrist, because that has to happen. This wrist staying flat as I'm going up, it has to cup a little, and it's going to cup even a little bit more as it comes down, maintaining that angle. But in the end, you can see how much cup is in here right now. But watch what's going to happen. I haven't changed a thing. Boom, as they both rotate over, they're both the same. And now look what happens on this side. They go through relatively straight, and then as the club starts to rise again, the back trailing arm, the wrist stays flat, but the lower arm, lower wrist cups. So it's an action reaction. So the right wrist is cupped a little bit up on this side in the backswing, and the forward wrist is cupped a little on that side in the finish. So for every action is equal and opposite reaction. But the key is, when they straighten out at impact, my arms have straightened out for the slap, or as I call it, the Big Bang theory. Bang, and then you go on to your finish, and they straighten out. If you turn too much and get ahead of it, your hands are ahead, you either got to throw the club at it, or you're going to do what I call lag, drag, hold, block, and now you're sort of just hanging on and almost pushing the club out. Yeah, you can still hit it pretty solid, but it's out of position. It's put a lot more stress and strain on the swing, and you'll never hit the ball as consistently solid and straight as you can the peak performance swing when you're standing here and are slightly behind the ball at impact and both arms straighten out. Same thing as baseball players, straightening the arm out. What do they call it when he swings at an inside pitch and he can't straighten his arms? They call it you get jammed. So here we got no reason. The ball's in the same place. It stopped moving. So when I set up properly, it's just going to come down, boom, and I hit it. Comes right down to impact. Both straight. Arms are at maximum length. The muscles are straight, and I'm going from toe up to toe up, and that club is releasing, and it's got tremendous speed going through the ball. No stress, no strain, solid and straight. You'll definitely, very likely hit it longer. The club will be accelerating, and you should help you start shooting those lower scores. That's it for the search for today on Release, and I'll be talking to y'all again soon.